The offer she
The
refused.
night calls
The
to
rain
us.
had been falling
Then let
since
us
dawn,
answer.
thin and relentless, soaking the cracked pavement and the cardboard shelters that lined the alley behind the old hospital. For most people, the rain was an inconvenience. For her, it was a reminder, cold, unforgiving, that she had nowhere left to go. She sat on the steps near the emergency entrance, her knees pulled to her chest, her jacket 2 sizes too big and frayed at the cuffs. The world passed her by as if she were invisible. Nurses rushed in and out. Cars arrived, engines humming with purpose. Lives moved forward while hers remained stuck between hunger and hope. Her name was Alia, though almost no one asked for it anymore. At 24, she had already learned how quickly life could strip a person down to nothing. A year ago, she'd had a small apartment, a job at a bookstore, even dreams, quiet ones but real. Then came the eviction, the layoffs, the illness that struck her younger sister like a thief in the night. Medical bills piled up faster than she could breathe. One missed payment became 10. One bad month became a disaster. Now the hospital steps were her waiting room, her refuge, her battlefield. Inside the building, her sister lay dying. Alia pressed her forehead against her knees, breathing slowly, counting the seconds the way the doctor had taught her during panic attacks. She hadn't cried in days. Tears required energy she no longer had. All she had left was stubborn resolve, the kind that kept her alive even when everything else had given up. That was when the black car stopped. It didn't honk. It didn't idle loudly. It simply appeared, sleek and silent, as if the rain itself had parted for it. The door opened and the world seemed to pause. He stepped out, tall, impossibly still, dressed in black as though the night had tailored the suit just for him. His presence didn't announce itself with noise or movement, it pressed down on the air, heavy and absolute. People nearby slowed without realizing why. Conversations faded. Even the rain seemed to soften. Alia didn't look up at first. Powerful men existed in a different universe, one she no longer belonged to. But then she felt it. That strange sensation of being seen. She lifted her head. Their eyes met. His were not the red of legend or the glowing horror of folklore. They were calm, cold, the color of winter skies just before a storm breaks. Eyes that had watched centuries pass and survived all of them. This was King Valerius, ruler of the Night Dominion. Though most humans knew him only as a myth, a whispered fear, a name spoken in stories and conspiracy forums. To vampires he was something else entirely. Law, power, inevitability. He had been watching her for weeks. Not because she was special. Not because she was beautiful, though she was in a quiet, unpolished way. He watched her because she was kind when cruelty would have been easier. Because she gave away half her food to strangers who had nothing. Because she smiled at nurses even while carrying the weight of impending loss. Because she endured. Valerius had ruled for over 400 years, and endurance fascinated him more than strength ever had. He approached her slowly, deliberately, stopping a respectful distance away. No guards. No threats. Just him. "You're soaked," he said. His voice was low, controlled but not unkind. Alia blinked, startled. No one spoke to her like that anymore, not without contempt or pity attached. She stood awkwardly, pulling her jacket tighter. "I'm fine," she replied automatically. It was a lie. But it was a familiar one. Valerius studied her for a long moment, as though weighing the truth behind her words. Then he gestured toward the car. "Come with me," he said. "We need to talk." Alarm flared in her chest. "I don't know you." "That's correct. I'm not going anywhere." "I know." The calm certainty in his tone unsettled her more than anger ever could. "I'm not asking you to trust me," he continued. "I'm offering you a choice." Alia hesitated. Choices were dangerous things. They came with consequences. "About what?" she asked. He extended an envelope, thick, heavy. $1 million, he said. "In exchange for 6 months of your time." Her breath caught. She stared at the envelope as if it might burn her. "I don't," she shook her head. "I don't do things like that." His expression didn't change. "You misunderstand. I'm not buying you." "Then what are you doing?" Her voice trembled despite her effort to sound strong. "I need a wife," he said simply. "A temporary one." The words hit her harder than the cold rain. She laughed once, sharp, disbelieving. "You think this is funny?" "No." "You think I'm desperate enough to sell myself?" "I think you're desperate enough to save your sister." The world tilted. Alia's heart slammed against her ribs. "How do you?" "I know," Valerius said quietly. "I know she's dying. I know the treatment is experimental. I know the hospital needs more money than you could earn in a lifetime. Her hands curled into fists. Fear and anger surged together. "You've been spying on me." "I've been observing," he corrected. "There is a difference." She shoved the envelope back toward him. "I don't care how much money you have. I won't be someone's fake wife. I won't lie. I won't." Her phone buzzed. The sound sliced through the moment like a blade. She froze. Slowly, with shaking fingers, she pulled it from her pocket. "Unknown number. Please come immediately. Her condition has worsened." The rain blurred her vision. Her knees buckled. Valerius moved faster than human reflexes should allow, catching her before she fell. His hand was cold through her sleeve, steady and unyielding. "Sit," he said gently, guiding her back down. She didn't argue. She couldn't. "Your pride is admirable," he continued, kneeling to meet her eye level. "But pride won't keep her alive." Tears finally came, silent, unstoppable. "I don't want your world," Alya whispered. "I just want my sister to live." "That," Valerius said, "is exactly why I chose you." He pressed the envelope into her hands again. "This is only the beginning," he said. "Agree to my terms and 3 million more will be transferred directly to the hospital. Tonight." Her chest ached. $3 million. 6 months. A lie wrapped in silk and shadows. "You'd really do that?" she asked. "Yes." "For nothing?" "For survival," he replied. "Yours, hers, and mine." She looked at the hospital doors, at the rain, at the life slipping through her fingers. Then back at him. "I need time," she said. "You have until you reach her room," Valerius replied. "After that, the offer expires." He stepped back, leaving her with the weight of the decision and the envelope burning in her hands. As the car door closed behind him and the rain swallowed the sound, Alya realized something terrifying. For the first time since losing everything, hope had returned. And hope, she knew, was far more dangerous than despair. The contract written in shadows. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and quiet fear. Alya walked its corridors as if through water, each step heavy, each breath borrowed. The envelope remained clutched in her hand, the paper inside feeling impossibly solid for something that promised miracles. Nurses passed her with hurried steps. Machines beeped in distant rooms, steady reminders that time did not wait for grief. Her sister lay pale against white sheets, eyes half open, breath shallow. Tubes traced fragile lines across her arms like lifelines drawn by strangers. When Alya took her hand, it felt thinner than it should have, lighter than memory allowed. "You're cold," her sister murmured. Alya forced a smile. "You're imagining it." They both knew it was a lie. Minutes passed. Then hours. Doctors spoke in careful tones, explaining urgency without hope. Experimental treatments. Impossible costs. The same words Alya had heard too many times. When she finally stepped back into the rain-washed night, the decision had already been made, etched into her bones by love and desperation. Her phone vibrated. "A car is waiting." She closed her eyes once, then walked forward. The black vehicle seemed less like transportation and more like a boundary between worlds. As it carried her away from the hospital, the city lights blurred, replaced by winding roads and ancient trees that leaned inward like silent witnesses. The air changed, cooler, heavier, charged with something she could not name. The gates appeared without warning. Iron, tall and ornate, opening as if recognizing the car itself. Beyond them rose the estate, not a mansion but something older. Stone walls climbed toward the sky, windows glowing softly like watchful eyes. It felt less built than claimed, as though the land itself had surrendered to the structure centuries ago. Inside, warmth met her immediately. Not comfort, control. Every surface gleamed. Every sound was muted. People moved with purpose and silence, their gazes respectful but distant. She was led through hallways lined with portraits of pale figures whose eyes seemed almost alive. Kings, queens, rulers who had never truly died. At last she was brought into a vast study. King Valerius stood near the window, his back to her, hands clasped behind him. The city was far away now, a faint glow beyond the gardens. "You came," he said, not turning. "I had no choice," Alya replied quietly. He faced her then, his expression unreadable. "You always have a choice. You simply chose love." A long table separated them. Upon it lay a stack of documents, thick and precise. Contracts written in human law and vampire tradition alike. "This marriage will last 6 months, Valerius said. "Publicly you are my queen. Privately you are protected. There will be no expectations beyond respect and presence." "And after?" she asked. "You leave," he said. "With your sister healed. With your life restored." Alya swallowed. Why me? He studied her carefully as if choosing truth over convenience. Because you do not crave power. Because you would leave it behind without regret. And because the council fears what they cannot control. She signed. Each page felt like another step away from who she had been. When the final signature dried, Valerius made a single call. Numbers were spoken. Authorizations granted. Somewhere across the city, machines were prepared, medicines approved, hope injected into veins. It's done, he said. Your sister's treatment begins before dawn. Alya's knees weakened. She bowed her head, overwhelmed. Thank you. For 6 months, he corrected gently. You belong to this world. That night, she was given rooms larger than any home she had known. Silk sheets. A view of moonlit gardens. Silence so deep it felt unreal. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering when fear would finally claim her. It came at dawn. Servants arrived with gowns. Stylists. Instructors. Words like protocol and lineage filled the air. She was taught how to walk beside a king, how to meet the gaze of immortals, how to speak without inviting challenge. You must never bow too deeply, an attendant whispered. They will think you weak. Alya almost laughed. Weakness had kept her alive this long. The wedding was held beneath an open sky, moonlight spilling silver across ancient stone. Vampires gathered, powerful, elegant, watching her with curiosity and suspicion. Whispers followed her every step. A human. A beggar. Temporary. Valerius stood beside her, still and commanding. When he offered his arm, she hesitated only a second before taking it. The vow was brief. Binding. Old words spoken in a language older than fear. When it ended, the air shifted, as if the world itself acknowledged the union. Applause echoed. Smiles appeared. The council observed from shadows. And Alya realized something chilling. She was no longer invisible. That night, alone on a balcony overlooking endless darkness, she finally allowed herself to cry, not from fear but from the weight of survival. Valerius joined her quietly. You did well, he said. I don't belong here, she replied. No, he agreed. But neither did I once. She looked at him then, not as a king, not as a savior, but as something wounded and ancient. And for the first time she wondered which of them needed this marriage more. The queen the night tried to break. Alya learned quickly that crowns were heavier than they looked. The first week inside the night dominion passed like a dream wrapped in thorns. Endless corridors, echoing halls, and faces that smiled without warmth followed her everywhere. Vampires bowed when Valerius passed. When she passed alone they only watched. She felt it constantly, the judgment. A human queen. A temporary mistake. A weakness wrapped in silk. At meals, conversation stopped when she entered. At gatherings, polite words carried hidden blades. Alya wore gowns worth more than entire neighborhoods she once slept in, yet she had never felt poorer. Everything around her glittered, but nothing belonged to her. Only one thing kept her standing. Her sister was improving. Every morning a report arrived from the hospital. White blood cell counts rising. Fever gone. Strength returning slowly, painfully, but undeniably. Alya read each message like a prayer answered. Whatever humiliation awaited her in this palace, it was worth that single truth. Valerius remained distant as promised. He never touched her without warning. Never demanded affection. He stood beside her in public, offered his arm, spoke her name with calm authority, but in private there was space. Silence. Respect. And yet she felt him watching. Not possessively. Not coldly. As if measuring something he did not fully understand. The first attack came without fangs. It happened during a council reception, an event designed, Alya realized too late, to test her. Crystal chandeliers glowed overhead. Music drifted softly. Vampires gathered in elegant clusters, their laughter smooth and sharp-edged. Alya stood beside Valerius, her posture straight, her heart racing. A woman approached, tall, beautiful, ancient. Her smile was flawless. Your Majesty, the woman said to Valerius, bowing slightly. Then she turned her gaze to Alya. And this must be the bride. Alya inclined her head. It is. The woman's eyes flicked over her, slow and deliberate. How fascinating. I've always wondered what kind of human could capture our king's attention. Alya met her gaze steadily. I didn't capture anything. A ripple of quiet laughter spread nearby. Modest, the woman said. Or unaware? Before Alya could respond, another voice cut in. Tell us, Queen Alya, what lineage do you claim? Silence fell. Alya's chest tightened. She had been warned about this. Vampires valued bloodlines, ancestry, power passed through centuries. Humans had none of that. I claim no lineage, Alya said honestly. Only my actions. Murmurs followed. Some amused. Some offended. How quaint, someone whispered. A queen with nothing to offer. Valerius did not move. He watched. Alya realized then, this was not just cruelty. It was a trial. The insults escalated over days. She was served last at meals. Excluded from discussions. Given incorrect instructions, then criticized for failing to follow them. Once, a servant deliberately spilled wine across her gown and apologized with a smile that did not reach their eyes. Each time, Alya swallowed her pride. Each time she remembered the hospital room. The machines. Her sister's fragile breathing. She endured. The breaking point came in the garden. She had gone there to breathe, to escape the suffocating walls. Moonlight bathed the stone paths in silver. The air smelled of night-blooming flowers. 3 vampires intercepted her. You should be grateful, one said lazily. Most humans don't last this long. I'm not here for your approval, Alya replied. No, another smiled. You're here because you're useful. Alya stiffened. Excuse me. You heard me, the first continued. A prop. A shield. Once the council is satisfied, you'll be discarded. Something inside her snapped, not loudly, not violently, but completely. She stepped forward instead of back. I was discarded long before I came here, Alya said quietly. By landlords. By employers. By a world that decided my life was worth less because I had nothing. And yet I survived. The vampires faltered, unprepared. I am not your queen because of blood or power, she continued, her voice steady. I am here because I chose love over fear. Because I would walk into darkness to save someone who matters. Pause. And if that makes me weak, Alya finished, then you should be very afraid of what weakness can endure. The garden went silent. They left without another word. That night, Valerius summoned her. She entered his study expecting reprimand. Instead, she found him standing by the fire, expression unreadable. You spoke well, he said. I embarrassed you, Alya replied. No, he corrected. You challenged them. She hesitated. Why didn't you stop them? The council. The insults. Valerius turned, his gaze heavy. Because if I had, they would never accept you. Power given is fragile. Power earned is permanent. Alya understood then. He had been protecting her, not from pain but from invisibility. There is something you should know, Valerius continued. The council is afraid. Of me? Alya asked incredulously. Of what you represent, he said. A human who cannot be controlled. Who does not seek power, yet reshapes it simply by existing. She laughed softly. I'm just trying to survive. So was I, Valerius said. Once. Their eyes met. For the first time the distance between them felt thinner, not romantic not yet but real. Elsewhere, in a hospital room flooded with morning light, Alya's sister sat up on her own for the first time in months. And deep within the night dominion, ancient forces began to shift. Because the council had made a mistake. They had tried to break a girl who had already lost everything. And survived. The secret that made her irreplaceable. The council moved from whispers to knives. Not steel blades, those were too crude, but laws, traditions and ancient precedents sharpened over centuries. Alya felt it in the sudden formality of summons, the way conversations stopped when she entered a room, the careful politeness that masked intent. This time, the night dominion was not testing her patience. It was questioning her right to exist within it. The summons arrived at dusk. A formal seal. Black wax. The sigil of the council pressed deep and final. Valerius read it in silence, his jaw tightening just enough for Alya to notice. They demand a full examination, he said. Lineage. Capability. Purpose. Purpose. Alya repeated softly. They want proof that you are more than a symbol, he replied. Or they will declare the marriage invalid. A chill passed through her. And then? And then, Valerius said evenly, they will take back what they believe was never yours. Her sister. The unspoken threat hung heavy between them. Alya straightened. Then let them examine me. Valerius looked at her sharply. This is not a game. I know, she said. It's my life. The council chamber was older than the castle itself, stone worn smooth by time, runes etched into pillars that pulsed faintly with power. The elders sat in a crescent, pale faces expressionless, eyes glowing faintly with age and magic. Alya stood alone at the center. Human, one of them intoned, you claim no bloodline, no gift, no ancient right. Why should the night accept you? Alya inhaled slowly. Because I am here. Murmurs rippled. Another elder leaned forward. Do you possess magic? No. Immortality? No. Power? Alya met their gaze. I possess responsibility. Silence followed, then quiet laughter. This is insufficient, the first elder said. Remove her. A sharp pain lanced through Alya's chest. She gasped, stumbling as invisible force crushed her lungs. The runes flared. The chamber darkened. Valerius stepped forward. Enough. This is council law, an elder snapped. You will not interfere. Alya collapsed to her knees, vision blurring. Memories surged unbidden, hospital lights, her sister's breath, nights on cold pavement. She pressed her hand to the stone floor, desperate for air. And then, something answered. Warmth surged up her arm, spreading through her chest, steady and grounding. The pain receded as suddenly as it had come. Alya sucked in a deep breath, stunned. The runes flickered. The elders froze. What did you do? One whispered. Alya stared at her hands, trembling. I don't know. Valerius felt it then, the shift he had sensed weeks ago but refused to name. The chamber's magic had recognized her. Not as prey. Not as a fraud. As a bridge. Test her blood, an elder commanded. A blade appeared, slicing Alya's palm. Blood fell, bright human red, onto the ancient stone. The runes ignited. Light spiraled upward, wrapping Alya in a soft, radiant glow. The chamber filled with a resonance so old it predated the council itself. Recognition. The covenant, an elder breathed. Impossible. Valerius's heart stilled. The covenant was legend, a forgotten bond between realms, said to respond only to those who chose sacrifice over dominion. Those who healed without magic. Those who united without conquest. Alya swayed, overwhelmed. Valerius caught her, his hand firm at her back. She stabilizes magic, an elder said slowly. Human, yet aligned. Her presence strengthens the realm, another added, shaken. She calms the flux. The first elder's voice hardened. Then she is dangerous. Valerius's gaze turned glacial. No. She is necessary. They argued. Demanded confinement. Control. Study. Alya listened, exhausted and furious. I am not an artifact, she said hoarsely. I am not your cure or your threat. I didn't come here to rule you. I came here to save my sister. Her words echoed. You want purpose? She continued. Here it is. I will stand between your power and your cruelty. I will remind you what you forgot, why your laws existed before you twisted them into chains. The council recoiled, sensing truth. Valerius looked at her then, not as king to queen but as equal to equal. Something ancient and fierce unfurled in his chest. The verdict was delayed. The marriage upheld. Barely. That night, Alya collapsed into a chair in Valerius's study, shaking. I'm not special, she whispered. I don't understand any of this. Valerius knelt before her, a gesture no one had seen him make in centuries. You are special because you don't seek to be, he said. You change the balance without trying. She laughed weakly. I just wanted to help. He reached out, hesitated, then took her hand, careful, reverent. The night will come for you again, he said. Openly this time. Will you protect me? Alya asked. Valerius met her eyes. I will stand with you. In a hospital miles away, Alya's sister walked unassisted down the corridor, strength returning faster than science could explain. And deep beneath the night dominion the covenant stirred, awake at last. Because Alya was no longer temporary. She was irreplaceable. The choice that changed both worlds. The night prepared for judgment. It came not with thunder or war horns, but with a silence so complete it felt deliberate. The corridors emptied. Servants withdrew. Guards took positions along the inner walls, their faces set, their loyalty divided between law and crown. The council had convened for the final time, and this time there would be no delays. Alya stood at the window of her chambers, watching the moon climb. Her reflection looked steadier than she felt. In the days since the covenant had awakened, the realm had changed around her. Magic flowed smoother. Tempers cooled. Disputes ended before they escalated. It frightened the council, and emboldened the people. She heard Valerius before she saw him. His presence carried a weight she recognized now, not dominance but responsibility. They will try to take you, he said quietly. Alya nodded. I know. They will offer you freedom, he continued. Money. Protection. Your old life returned. She turned to face him. And my sister? She will be safe, Valerius said. No matter what you choose. Alya searched his face. What do you want? For a moment the king of the night did not answer. When he did, his voice was lower, unguarded. I want you to choose without fear. They walked together to the council chamber. The elders were already seated, their expressions carved from stone. Runes glowed faintly along the walls, waiting. The chamber recognized Alya now. It answered her presence with warmth. Human queen, the first elder said. The covenant has spoken. The realm stabilizes under your influence. This cannot continue. Alya stood tall. Why? Because balance must be controlled, another elder replied. Not felt. The first elder raised a hand. We offer terms. Renounce the crown. Leave the night dominion. In return you will be granted wealth, protection, and anonymity. Your sister's health will be guaranteed. A murmur passed through the chamber. Alya felt the old pull, the promise of safety, of rest, of walking away. She thought of quiet mornings. Of not being watched. Of a life where her presence did not threaten ancient power. She also thought of the garden. The insults. The way magic had answered her pain, not with force but with steadiness. She thought of those who had begun to look at her with hope. She stepped forward. You're afraid, Alya said gently. Not of me, but of what you forgot. The elders bristled. You built this realm to protect yourselves, she continued. Then you protected the rules instead of the people. I didn't come to rule you. I came to remind you that power without compassion rots. The first elder's eyes flashed. Enough. Runes ignited. The air tightened. Valerius moved instantly, placing himself beside Alya. If you touch her, he said, voice like ice breaking, you challenge the crown. You would choose her over the council? An elder demanded. Valerius did not hesitate. I choose the realm. The chamber shook. Alya felt it then, the covenant fully awake, responding not to her alone, but to the choice between them. She took Valerius's hand. The magic steadied, softened, spread. I will not leave, Alya said clearly. But I will not rule you either. The elders froze. I choose service, she continued. I will stand between power and cruelty. I will remind you who you were meant to protect. And if that terrifies you, then perhaps that fear is overdue. Silence fell, deep, resonant. The first elder leaned back, ancient certainty cracking. Then the council will dissolve. Gasps echoed. We will reform, the elder said slowly. With limits, with oversight, with the covenant as witness. The runes dimmed, settling. The judgment ended, not with victory but with surrender. Later, as dawn painted the gardens in pale gold, Alya stood beside Valerius on the balcony. The realm breathed easier. So did she. I could have left, she said softly. Yes, Valerius replied. And the night would have survived. She smiled faintly. But it wouldn't have healed. He turned to her, centuries of solitude in his eyes. Neither would I. She took a breath. The contract ends today. I know, he said. And the money, she added. Yours, Valerius said. No conditions. Alya met his gaze. Then I choose freely. For the first time he reached for her without hesitation. Not as king to queen. Not as protector to protected. As a man asking a woman to stay. She nodded. In the days that followed the realm changed in quiet ways. Councils opened. Laws softened. The covenant remained, not as a weapon but as a promise. In a sunlit hospital room, Alya's sister laughed, strong and alive, teasing Alya about royal gowns and moonlit halls. And in the night dominion, a king learned that the greatest power he would ever hold was not immortality, but the courage to love without control.